I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE symbol CRL and the pink symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Sharon, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much, Jim.
And happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thank you, and the very same to you. Hope you get your lady some nice candy.
I make her a nice dinner.
Oh, that's lovely.
Did you get something for your dog?
Something for my dog?
Yeah, apparently, at least for millennials, getting your pet a Valentine's gift is also important.
I'm not a millennial. And I don't buy my dog Valentine's Day gifts. I don't even buy my husband one.
Sharon, what has been the reaction from the BC Utilities Commission on your 700-page fire report connected to smart meters?
Well, after 6 months of waiting, this morning, February 14th, I received a 4-page document that basically says, I'm right. They did not refute one statement I made. They did not challenge one piece of evidence that I provided. Rather, what they did is say, well, Hydro says we're fine. I guess we'll just, they said things that are not true. For instance, they said that Hydro never removes a meter from the scene of a fire. That is definitely not true. I showed them many instances, and I even have statements from fire authorities saying that Hydro comes in and removes the meters before the inspectors can do their job. Yet, BC Utilities Commission is ignoring all of that and saying, nope, meters aren't being removed. They also are saying that they're perfectly happy with the fact that there's no independent certification by a qualified professional engineer here in British Columbia that these things are safe. They're saying, oh, well, the utilities have professional engineers who looked at Itron's statement that they're safe. That's not good enough. These things are causing fires. These things are dangerous. I have independent electrical engineers who say that there are major design flaws. They did not touch on any of these. What they said is that the utilities check them for accuracy. They follow the Measurement Canada compliance. Yeah, that's accuracy. Then they say that they go along with ANSI. In my report, I described why the ANSI protocols are not sufficient. Yet they say, nope, they're happy with following the ANSI protocol. They also lie. They say that the Underwriters Laboratory, which has recently certified Itron, checks for one of the more dangerous flaws, which is the remote disconnect switch. No, they don't. I've looked at the protocol. Electrical engineers have looked at the the UL certification and protocol. They do not test for the disconnect switch. They can say they do, but they don't. They just lie. And the certification, the intention of this statement by the BC Utilities Commission, that Itron has been certified by the Underwriters Laboratory in the United States, should not give us any sense of assurance, because every smart meter still has these flaws. They approved and certified Landis in-gear meters, the very same meters that have piled up in Texas after burning. They now are certifying the Itron meters that have burned. I have fires in Florida, in Texas, in California, in Michigan, in British Columbia, just to name a few places. So this means to me, they don't care. They're going to accept this statement that UL is sure that they're safe. without looking at the details. I find that this entire statement is not only frustrating that they don't seem to care, but it's also reassuring because they can't find a single flaw in my argument. They had their staff, they had BC Hydro, and they had Fortis BC go over my report, and there's not one single statement in there that says that what I said was wrong. So I can only assume that they agree with what I've said and they just don't care.
Does that mean the government's liable for any damage that happens then?
Heck no.
No?
They're not liable. They're going to be liable just as they are liable for any of the other damages they deal with. In the tariff under Section 9.5, it says that BC Hydro is not liable for any damages they, their workers, or their equipment causes, even if it's through negligence. No, Hydro's not liable. The insurance companies will continue paying the claims. The insurance companies will continue to subrogate against BC Hydro and have the claims repaid. And the insurance companies will continue to increase your premiums. The people here are at risk, and no one cares. And what they're telling me is if I don't agree with what they've said, I have recourse to go to the courts. But first I have to get their permission. They have to agree with my need to pursue it further with the courts. And you know what they're going to say. It's going to be like Trump criticizing himself. BCUC isn't going to criticize its own decision. This is a whitewash. It's stonewalling. And it is revealing that the BC Utilities Commission is not willing to do its job. I've provided information, and they go back to 2015 with my first complaint. As a result of my first complaint, they forced BC Hydro and Fortis to start recording their meter failures. Whether that's being done accurately or not, I have no way of showing. But they admitted in 2000, as a result of my 2015 complaint, that there were some procedures that were not being carried through that needed to be tightened up. That's all. They haven't done a single solitary thing. And they looked at my evidence and have said, basically, there's nothing wrong with my evidence. There's nothing wrong with my argument. They just don't want to pay any attention to it.
Now, Sharon, of course, whenever you send me a news release like this pointing out that the Utilities Commission doesn't care about the safety of British Columbians and that they haven't said there's anything wrong with your 700-page fire report, have any other media outlets reported this finding?
No major one. It's you, Jim. And what I intend to do now is to seek out some investigative journalists. We need someone who has the time, the backing, and the interest to do this. This is like tobacco. It is like the faulty devices in the Pinto. This is something that is being hidden from the public, and it's a danger. The public has every right to feel safe in their homes. And the government is either putting pressure on the media through threatening to take away funding. Hydro is putting pressure on, perhaps, because of their ads, or perhaps it's because it's the ownership of media. I don't know what the reason is, but the media will not touch anything related to smart meters with a 10-foot pole, and they haven't for several years. People write in complaining about the way they're being treated, complaining about health effects, complaining about high bills, complaining about fires. They get no response from anybody. They can't even get their letters published. This really is a serious situation where we can't get any of the information out there. You're the only one, Jim, who's pushing this out broadly. There's another station up in Nanaimo that I speak with about once a month. They also are pushing it out there. but there's no, I can't get it into the Sun, I can't get it into Vancouver, the Victoria Times. Nobody will touch it.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after the break.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. A work program is planned for our Finland property that contains diamond-bearing kimberlite. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ADD, and the Frankfurt Exchange, symbol 82A1. Please visit our website at arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
I'm Brian Fowler, president of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead zinc silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic Engineer Gold Mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, 5G is being pushed on us. Dr. Oz feels there's health risks. Other reports have come out saying it's a cancer risk. What can you tell us about 5G?
5G is, as I've said before, probably many of your listeners have heard me talk about the fact that this is it is completely new. It is using a part of the spectrum that uses milliwaves, very, very short, very, they're waves that are unlike any of the other things that are used for smart meters or smartphones or cell towers or any of these things. There have been very, very few studies showing what the health effects are. Scientists around the world are demanding a moratorium on this new technology until some in-depth studies have been done. In the 1950s and 60s, when FM transmitters were starting, people knew in the military, they knew that these were dangerous. There had been hundreds of studies, but still it got pushed out there. The industry saw a means of a profit of a new product. They put it out there, and we're paying the consequences now because of the proliferation and expansion of the wireless devices in the wireless industries. This is a step up. 5G, which is the 5th generation. It really doesn't say anything further in the name except that it's the 5th generation of devices. But industry is saying this 5th generation is going to involve these milliwaves, which cannot go very far, and they're not very strong. So they're going to be putting microcells, cell towers, in essence, outside almost every home. Now, recently, there was an article, and I think I spoke about this with you last time, that they're going to be using pulsed array antenna, which it's a new configuration where they have multiple beams that are joined together in one major beam that can force the milliwaves, the 5G, to go much further and to be much stronger, which means we need to be even more concerned about this.
Antenna arrays, right?
Yeah. And array antennas, yeah. And people should be very, very aware of this. We need to get to our elected officials because we have the right to say we don't want these outside our homes. We don't want them on our public right-of-ways until they've been proven to be safe. But recently, just in the last couple of weeks, some of the people who have been looking at this in depth are saying the costs are just too high. The governments are spending money, are investing money. The corporations are spending billions of dollars to spread this technology widely, and the benefits aren't there. They are spending money in a way that is frankly incomprehensible. They are putting fiber optic cable, which is the best, the safest, the most efficient, and the technology that is capable of carrying the most data. It will carry data sufficient for years to come. I mean, it is that efficient and that good. They're using fiber optic cable to connect to these microcells, and from the microcells, the last step, as it's called, the last mile, we'll use wireless to our home. This is crazy. There is no need for this. If they are truly wanting to provide the best service to their customers at their homes, this fiber optic cable should be taken straight to the home. This is the way of the future. What they want, though, is they want wireless everywhere to encourage people and to enable people to use their cell phones. They want to be able to allow people to walk through the woods and do streaming, watch a movie, text, whatever, send their pictures everywhere. And so they need to have these microcells to allow this. But according to people like Timothy Shetley, who is an expert on this sort of thing, it's not going to be able to carry the amount of data. It's not going to be efficient enough in the long term to do what they want it to do. It's a waste of money, and in many places now, the corporations are beginning to rethink this and wonder if there is a better way of doing it. They need to reconsider how fiber optic cable can be used, because not only is it faster and more efficient, it's safer. Fiber optic cable does not irradiate the way wireless devices do. And as you know, the radiation, there are more and more studies showing how dangerous the radiation from these wireless devices is. Last week, there was another portion of the National Toxicology Program study on cell phones that was released in draft form. The first portion was released about a year and a half ago, and it was so important. They felt their findings were so important that they released them before a final write-up, and the study was absolutely completed. They warned that cancers of the brain and cancers of the heart, schwannomas, which are quite rare, are caused and related to cell phone radiation. Now, the second portion has come out, and there's even more information here. They found all sorts of health risks, not only gliomas of the brain, which are some of the most dangerous cancers that people get. The glioblastomas are incurable. And
isn't that what killed Gordon Downey?
Yeah, it is. Many people, Ted Kennedy, this is what Senator John McCain is fighting right now and losing his battle on. It's not that uncommon anymore. It used to be very, very rare. In fact, probably 30 years ago, the statistics are not being kept, which is one of the problems. The cancer societies are not keeping statistics. But, you're hearing about so many people now, and someone in the States, Ellie Marks, is trying to keep data. She has asked me to have people contact me with any information whenever they hear about anyone with brain cancer. Send it to me, and I'm in contact with Ellie Marks. We're trying to gather as much information as we can about these people. Of course, it's often hard to get to families and say, who are suffering, can you tell me what kind of brain cancer it was? But the frequency is coming up more and more, and there was recently, just a 2-year-old baby who lost his battle with glioblastoma. It's horrendous what's happening, but that's only one of the findings. They also are finding that there's a significant increase with cancers in the pituitary gland and in the liver. They're finding that places where people are exposing themselves, for instance, holding it to your head when you're talking, putting it into your bra when you're running or shopping or whatever, or men putting it into their pockets. The testicular cancer, the rate of testicular cancer is increasing dramatically. Thyroid glands, prostate cancers. The study is showing that these are associated with the radiation that is emitted by cell phones. And we haven't seen this. There's been nothing in the news about this study. It's been completely stifled. And it's a major, major study. It's resulting in many researchers and even cancer societies in the U.S. now are saying this is a first-class study. And researchers are saying this proves that microwave radiation from wireless devices is a carcinogen. It's not a possible carcinogen as it's rated today. It's not a probable one. It is a carcinogen. And none of this information is getting out. Nothing's going to change. The World Health Organization is completely politicized. It's been taken over by the industry. And it will only react when we begin to put pressure on the telecoms. We stop buying their products. We start demanding that they take action. The telecoms are now beginning to acknowledge that they are guilty of selling products to cause addiction. I don't know if you saw in my update, Jim, but I've sent out quite a few articles over the last couple of weeks where people from Facebook and Google and whatever, some of the telecom companies in Silicon Valley are now saying, we have knowingly addicted people. We have knowingly created a product that we sell to children to get them addicted, so we know that as adults they will continue to buy our product. And they're admitting that the children and people, other adults as well, suffer emotional problems, suffer depression, suffer withdrawal symptoms when they don't have access to their precious little devices. They are disconnecting with reality. They are having trouble in school and at work because their memory is not as good. They are having brain fog. They're having issues. And these people are now saying, maybe it's time we have to look at some of these issues. The telecoms are not yet facing and admitting that there are other serious health issues, but they're beginning to take a first step in acknowledging that these things do have long-term effects on our brains by addicting us with the serotonin and all of the other hormonal effects that can be measured.
This sure sounds like tobacco.
Yep.
Addictive and deadly.
Exactly like it. In fact, I sent a YouTube in last night's update from, of all places, Fox News in the States, where Tucker Carlson was talking to some people who are from the industry, some who are denying any responsibilities, but others who are now speaking out, and they did compare it exactly to tobacco. The companies are denying responsibility in many instances. They did this knowingly. In fact, they have staff that are dedicated to trying to figure out how they can entice you, how they can draw you in even further. You know, the idea that, for instance, on Facebook, and I don't know Facebook, so don't ask me how it works, or Twitter, I don't use these things. But if you hit a like, apparently this gives you an adrenaline rush. And now people they can't get away from their Facebook. And if they don't get a like within a certain period of time on something they sent out, they start becoming afraid or suffering some sort of fear that, you know, they've offended someone. And every time they get a like, it encourages them to go in and do it again. It feeds this emotional need. It's really, really quite amazing, I think, that finally some of these people at Silicon Valley and some of these tech companies have made this admission. It's a major first step.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
I'm Bill McWilliam, president of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, you broke the story here in North America that Lloyd's of London a few years ago would not cover any damage caused by microcell radiation. And now you're telling me that small companies are being warned that their insurance may not cover damage caused by cyber attacks.
Yes, there was an article in one of the industry journals a couple of weeks ago where insurance companies are now pondering the costs that they will be facing in the event of a cyber attack where companies are either down so that their electricity is gone and they lose their products, or they can't operate because they don't have the facility to carry on business. There are major costs involved, and the insurance companies are looking and wondering if they're going to be able to cover these costs. And the next logical step, as it was with Lloyd's and most other insurance companies refusing to cover health claims related to microwave radiation, they now are considering whether they will be able to cover and provide insurance for companies who suffer losses from cyber attacks. And they say that in this article, it is said that the small companies especially are vulnerable because many of them may not have that coverage in their policies now. It's a major consideration because hacking is happening all over the place. We know that. If you listen to the U.S. intelligence officials that were at a hearing yesterday in the U.S., they were admitting that the systems are not sufficient to stop the cyber attacks. And we know from other admissions and reports that China and North Korea and Russia have already been hacking into the grid. They haven't done anything terribly significant yet that we know of. But the way this can be done is they test, they see where the vulnerable points are. They can either put a virus in that might sit around like the Stuxnet virus and attack later, or they find that they can get in through a smart meter easily. The smart meter has been identified as one of the most vulnerable parts of the grid, the easiest way to get in. Once they get in there, they can cause havoc. And we've been warned that electricity is a prime target. The electrical grid is a prime target. And when this happens, we could use electricity for months on end. There will be no way for us to be able to travel, for us to be able to get clean water, heat, food, nothing.
Gasoline.
People will die. There will be major consequences. And all the warnings are out there. The big warnings for the cyber attack, but the insurance companies right now are trying to address even minor attacks. If the grid goes down for short periods of time, companies are vulnerable, and they better make sure that their insurance policies will cover them.
Sharon, anything else you want to add today?
People should be looking at Site C. It's not a done deal. The First Nations people had a major summit in Victoria the end of January, and there were over 400 people who joined with the First Nations, and Elizabeth May is now coming out and adding her voice to the fact that she thinks that we're in trouble financially if we go through with this, because one of the potential partners, I think it's called ACON, I'm sorry, I don't have the name right in front of me.
Yeah, it is.
Has been purchased, or is in the process of being purchased by a Chinese firm that is associated with the Chinese government. If this sale goes through, our building of Site C will be inexorably connected with the Chinese government. They will, through our various treaties and tariffs and everything, be able to make shortcuts. They will be able to bring their own workers in. And if the government, BC or federal, does anything to cause them to lose any money or lose any advantage, they could sue. They could sue big time.
Yes, that's in the Trans-Pacific Partnership that Canada just
That's
signed.
right.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth May is sending out warnings, and she's saying this is one more reason why Site C should be stopped. We have no need for Site C. Site C is to develop energy that we don't need and probably will never need. If we have it, we'll probably end up selling it to the States or Alberta.
Well, right now Alberta's refusing to talk to us about it because of the dispute over the pipeline.
Yeah, but this is 20 years down the road. It's going to take 20 years for this to be built.
Sure.
And if experience is any indicator of what's going to happen in the future, we'll produce it at X and we'll sell it at X minus a whole lot. We're losing money when we sell to California and to Alberta. They don't buy at the same rates that even British Columbians have to pay for electricity. So there's no reason for it. And in addition to the costs that Premier Horgan has followed Christy Clark's rationale, that it can't be stopped because there's already been $2 billion sunk into it. So let's go ahead and sink another $10 billion. That's not taking into consideration any of the major costs to the environment. This is not green stuff. It's going to be polluting the environment, ruining our waters, flooding prime farmland that will never be recovered again. The costs are so very high in so many ways, and there aren't any benefits. And for some reason, Premier Horgan is closing his eyes and his ears to this. And people are beginning to organize. This group from the summit is asking to join with them. And I've got information on our website for people who would like to get information about how to contact these people. People need to speak up. Rallies are going to form. Picketing is going to happen. We need to do this. As much as I am against the smart meters and I want to continue fighting to protect the public, I also feel very strongly that BC Hydro should not be allowed to proceed with this Site C.
Well, if they're using the same kind of logic for BC Hydro and Site C as they did at ICBC, where we're facing a multi-billion-dollar loss, heaven help the taxpayer.
Just keep throwing that money into that hole. And both Site C and the smart meter program have no oversight. There is a law that needs to be changed, and it's called the Clean Energy Act, and it was put through in 2010 by the Liberal government. Both Site C and the smart meter program failed to get support from any of the agencies. BCUC had said the smart meter program did not have the benefits to justify the cost, and the technology was not dependable. So they refused the application. So the smart meter program was included in the Clean Energy Act. The Site C had experts from all sorts of different fields saying this is a stupid thing to do. You can't justify it financially. You can't justify it by need. There's no reason for it. So the Liberal government put these two major programs that cost billions and billions of dollars into the Clean Energy Act and said there is no oversight by the BC Utilities Commission or anybody else. We're going forward with it, and there's no way you can stop it. The only way to stop it, unless Horgan gets a backbone and says we're stopping it now, is for the public to demand that the Clean Energy Act is reversed. We need this law taken off the books. We need oversight and we need public input. There's no way that we should be spending money on products, on services, on programs that have no benefits, that cost nothing but problems. They cause so many problems, whether it's fires, whether it's lost farmlands, whatever. And for generations to come, people will be paying for these stupid decisions. Grandchildren will be paying for Site C, and smart meters have no end of cost because the meters have such short lifespans. 5 to 7 years, we do go through the same billions of dollars again, all over again. The only green for these projects, and they are sold to the public as being green. The only green is the money that's going into the corporate pockets. And we must demand a change on this. Canadians and British Columbians are just too polite and too quiet. We need to get out there with our voices. We need to walk in the streets. We need to make our voices heard, Jim. If we don't, we'll be stuck with these programs and we'll only have ourselves to blame.
Sharon, are there any websites people can go to?
Yes, they can go to our website, which is the Coalition's website, www.stopsmartmetersbc.com. And on there they'll find information on all of the topics that I've discussed today and many more.
Sharon, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Jim.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. If you have any questions for Sharon or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.